global virtual accelerator for startups. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. And in support of the mission, we do a lot of different things. One of these various touch points through which we offer you programming is this roundtable. So we've had 398 sessions of this particular type of programming over the years, almost 10 years, coming up to 10 years. Next week is a milestone event for us, 400th roundtable, so be sure to tune into that. We've been having entrepreneurs coming from all over the world and pitching here at these sessions for years now, and we've had over 75,000, I think, at this point, entrepreneurs who have come to these sessions and participated in some form or the other, whether it's just participated or pitched or engaged somehow, and we've really had an opportunity to work with entrepreneurs from all corners of the world, literally, and that's really, we consider it a privilege to be able to, you know, add value to the processes of so many entrepreneurs in so many different corners of the world. So the event is being recorded. You can actually go back and look at all prior recordings on our YouTube channel, and you'll also find lots of recordings of other kinds of video recordings of other kinds of content, all entrepreneurship content, but not just roundtable recordings. There are other kinds of content as well. The YouTube channel is very rich. You can also follow us on Twitter at 1Mby1M or at Romana, either one is fine. And these channels also are very active channels through which we publish incredibly interesting content. If you're live tweeting today, use hashtag 1M1M. And these are the call-in instructions. I will put it back up later on in the program when we are ready for call-ins. So call-ins are important, and participation is important for this session because it is a roundtable, it's not a broadcast. So we want you to tell us what you're thinking, what you're struggling with, what kinds of issues are you facing, so that this can really be a roundtable. We're going to start the session today with a conversation with Steve Beck, Managing Partner at Serra Ventures. Welcome, Steve. It's great to have you here. Oh, my God. We can't hear you. You're still muted.
Let's try this right here.
So now we can hear you. Your video was better earlier.
Okay.
So adjust the video a bit.
All right. All right. I apologize for that error. Thank you for having me.
That's much better. Much better.
It's an honor to be here. Sorry about that glitch. Obviously, I am not quite the technologist I'd hoped.
All right. So, folks, let me introduce you again to Steve Beck, now that you can see him on the camera, Managing Partner at Serra Ventures, who's dialing in from his car. This is a first. We've had people dialing in from airplanes. We've had people dialing from all kinds of places. Car is a first. So, great to have you here. Steve, let us introduce you to the audience. Tell us about the fund, how big is it, what kind of investments do you like to make, what is the focus, and so forth. Let's get to know one another.
Fantastic. Yeah, Serra Ventures is technically a micro venture capital fund, which means we generally place between $500,000 and $750,000 into seed stage investment. From a fund size of about $50 million. We're on Fund 3. The fund's been going for 7 years. And we have a very specific geographical focus and thesis for our investing, which I'm happy to share later. But I've been doing venture capital since 2000, so for 18 straight years. But I've been with Serra, my other partners, for these 7 years. Serra is headquartered out of Champaign, Illinois, where the University of Illinois is, also an office in Chicago, and then here I'm on the West Coast. So we have kind of an interesting geographical spread, which we call the distributed Midwest and the underserved West Coast, which I can explain later if you're interested.
Yeah. So how about a bit about your background? You said you've been doing venture capital for a long time. Is it all based out of the Midwest and working on Midwest ventures?
No, my story really is a story of being an entrepreneur myself. I never went to business school. I don't have the Harvard MBA. I actually just started companies. I started my first company when I was 23. We exited that company to a publicly traded company called Foot Locker. And then subsequent to that, I started the company up in the Silicon Valley in '98 with some partners and exited that to another publicly traded company. And after I got a little bit of funny money in my pocket, me and some guys started a venture firm, and we learned that business. So my focus has always been the West Coast, and my partners specialize in this, what we call distributed Midwest. So it's my focus has been out here, but my partners focus out there.
Okay, very good. So talk a little bit about what do you like to invest in? What kinds of companies? What sectors? What style of companies? What is the interest area?
Yeah, it's interesting. One of my thesis has changed. One of my early venture investments in 2000 was a company in China that maybe you've heard of called Baidu. And me and my partners, we put 1.6 million into the 3 million pre on a company that I think now has grown to a market cap of, $90 billion and is probably the third largest tech company in China, if not the second. And so I've had kind of the unicorn ride. I've experienced that. But actually my passion and my focus is completely different. What I like now is I like companies where we get in quite early, usually a 4 to 6 million pre-money, and we like to shoot for an exit within 4 to 5 years at about a $50 to $60 million exit. So we like base hits. We like to get into companies that have deep intellectual property, or at least defensible IP, and where entrepreneurs are not trying to become unicorns. They're not swinging for the fence, as I like to say, but they're rather, looking, as you kind of, I think it's kind of your interest as well. You're trying to build something of value and exit early. And this works really well for our limited partners, the people who have invested in our funds. And it works great for our entrepreneurs. They can get in, they can learn, they can exit a company and go do another one because they just absolutely love doing that.
That's very good to hear, that kind of alternative investment thesis, because I think with 700 plus micro VCs in the industry, there is no way we're going to get 2,500 unicorns. Unicorns are supposed to be rare, so it's mathematically impossible to have that many unicorns. And I hear from too many investors that they're all chasing unicorns. So I'm actually thrilled to hear the investment thesis that you just laid out. So let's double click down on that a bit. B2B, is that mainly a B2B thesis?
Actually, we're an opportunistic firm, and we have a fairly broad thesis, which is a little bit unusual. I would say about 70% of our fund is information tech broadly. And within the information tech realm, we do B2B SaaS. I know a lot of people feel that's played out, but we don't find it's played out. We think that there's a lot of sectors that are still awaiting disruption or greater efficiency through a B2B strategy that's appropriate. Obviously, B2B is great because it's a quick path to revenue, and it's capital efficient. So you don't have to put a lot of money in the company to get the company growing and ultimately, even self-sustaining if need be. So we like B2B SaaS. We're big into artificial intelligence. We like Internet of Things. We like companies that are oftentimes big data, algorithm-based type opportunities. So we invest in that area. Now, that's just 70% of the fund. The remainder of the fund, about 20%, believe it or not, is agricultural technology. We've had some really good fortune with ag tech. Now, ag tech is essentially information tech just pointed at agriculture, and it's usually an echo. So whatever we're seeing working in the Valley, let's say, you'll see that influencing ag tech maybe in a 3 to 5 year echo. So it's kind of neat because you can see what's working, what models are working broadly in information technology, and then you can extend that into this huge market of ag tech. And we've had a lot of success there. We have an office at the University of Illinois, which is one of the largest ag tech hubs in America. So we're seeing a lot of, we're exiting a company right now that I cannot name, but it is a fantastic exit. And so we enjoy that. And then the third area is we do some devices, medical and scientific devices, which is generally not in favor with most venture capitalists. You know, devices are capital intensive, and you know, they take a little bit more money to get off the ground, but we have an expertise in it. A couple of my partners have exited scientific device companies and medical device companies, and we've had good fortune with that. So we do continue to play in that space too.
Okay. So our focus is all IT and IT-enabled services. And within that spectrum, what you said about B2B actually, you know, that B2B is played out, B2B SaaS is played out. I don't agree with that, because I think if you're looking for multi-billion-dollar TAM opportunities, it is somewhat played out. Yeah. But if you are open to the niche opportunities with early exits that are, you know, sub 50 million, maybe 50, 60 $million exits, that opportunity is not played out at all. If anything, that opportunity is wide open and people are not playing in that space enough. So I'm fully with you on the investment thesis that you laid out on B2B SaaS.
Yeah, we're having good fortune, very much so. You know, I don't know, a lot of people don't know this, but the average exit in venture capital, M&A exit, is $55 million, or right around there, which for most firms in the Valley, when they're getting it at a 10 million, 20 million pre, and they're putting 2 million into the deal, that does nothing for them. For a firm like ours, where oftentimes we're getting in at maybe a $4, $5 million pre-money, we exit a company in 3 or 4 years at $60 million in an M&A transaction. That is amazing. I mean, that's exactly the kind of venture math that firms look for. You know, our firm, let me brag if I can just a little bit, our firm is in the top 10% in the nation in the metrics that people like to track for venture firms. I mean, everyone's heard of, you know, the IRR, the internal rate of return, like what's my percent, you know, annualized that I'm going to get back. But what most people also look at, as you're well aware of, is this thing called total, you know, distributed capital to paid-in capital. How much money do I get back? How soon? And the total value, PVPI, of paid-in capital. And in those metrics, we are in the top 10%. And one of the reasons we're able to do that is because we're early in, early out, like you're talking about. We get in these SaaS, really great SaaS deals. They have great IP. They build a company. In 4 years, they sold the company for $40 million. It does not make for a good cocktail party story. No one in the Valley wants to stand around and hear about how you sold your company for $40 million. But when you got in at 3, that's a fantastic return. The entrepreneurs made some great money, a great technology was made. And our batting average, we're exiting 60% of our companies. So that, as you're aware, that's pretty unusual. So it's a really fun business. I love the strategy you're mentioning, and that we're very solidly standing in it. It really does work.
Now, what do you need in terms of metrics? Let's talk about B2B SaaS. What are you looking for in terms of metrics for a deal coming to you? Are you looking for $1 million ARR? Are you looking for paying customers, but not yet velocity? What is the comfort zone to get into a company?
Yeah, Sharmana, this gets a little bit ho-hum because we hear these types of things all the time, but, you know, what we're looking for are some of the obvious things, just to start with. You know, a big total addressable market that's waiting for disruption. We're looking, obviously, for an executive team and a founding group that we really believe in. That's extremely important to us. We know that many of the companies we invest in are going to end up doing something a little different than what their initial thesis is, so you're really kind of betting on the horse as well as the race. But, you know, I would say that, you know, in general, besides the team and, you know, good IP and technology, we're looking at people that understand really, that have a similar idea of the view of the world as us. If someone's wanting to become a gigantic company, they're planning, they have visions of a $500 million or $1 billion exit. That's probably not a deal for us to take. In terms of revenue, we want product market fit for sure. We'd like to see some monthly recurring revenue so that there's, you know, proof that the dogs are eating the dog food, as we say in the industry. But we're not one of these firms. I mean, if there's $1 million in ARR, that company is further along actually than what we're looking for. We want to take a little more risk and get in at a little lower pricing than that. So, yeah, I think sometimes if there's just even revenue of, well, we've done pre-revenue deals, but even if there's revenue of sometimes, you know,
small revenue
a month, just so we can see some of the key performance indicators working, especially around customer acquisition costs. That's what we're looking for.
Okay, great. That's actually very good to hear, because there is this 1 million ARR being a requirement for a lot of firms right now for B2B SaaS when they call it a Series A, and that's not easy to get to, right? It takes a lot of maneuvering, a lot of time to get to $1 million ARR. You have to survive through that process.
Absolutely, and if a company has $1 million ARR in a SaaS model that's clearly working and scaling, and if they've done that in a short enough time frame where you can see that there's some ramp, you're going to get a pre-money a little bit higher in a company like that breaks our model. We don't want to get in at a 10 million pre. We want to get in at a 4, 5, maybe 6, usually in the form of a convertible note cap with a little discount, because that's how our model works. So, you know, you can bake the risk out, but you're going to pay more money for it, and you're going to make less on your multiple.
Yeah. So I just want to clarify one thing on the TAM question. You did say you want a large TAM, but I would put that in perspective for our audience. You know, the scenario that you're talking about, you can still make money with a TAM in the 300 to 500 million range. It doesn't have to be $1 billion plus $2 billion kind of TAM.
I would certainly agree with you there, and I think that, you know, what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of people starting SaaS businesses that are really doing lifestyle businesses where they've got a very narrow niche. They understand that business because maybe it was a business that they were in at some level. They saw an opportunity, and they're building a business that's going to crank out maybe a few $1 million in revenue for them, maybe 5, but they're not going to really grow a venture-sized business. I agree with you that, yeah, there's certainly, I'm not coming at this from the Silicon Valley mindset. I agree. If we can get a company into, you know, 5 years out, if it has even $10 million in revenue, that's a tremendous success. Yeah.
So from 1Mby1M perspective, we support all of those entrepreneurs. You can be a good business, not a great investment. You build it as a lifestyle business, as a bootstrap business, self-finance. That's all fine. We are happy to support all of those permutations and combinations. I think in this context, in the context of Serra Ventures, we're talking about how your firm works and what is a good investment.
Yeah, because I'm a huge fan of lifestyle businesses. I don't say that in a condescending or derogatory way. I think if you can build a business that you understand and love, that's based on technology, that's highly efficient, has great margins, you don't have to become beholden to guys like me who are going to tell you what to do.
Yes.
But you can, you know, control your own destiny and build a beautiful, sustaining lifestyle business based on technology. That is a fantastic accomplishment and a very nice way to go. You know, as soon as you take venture, there's pressure for an exit.
That's right. And pressure for building to a much larger scale and much faster. So those pressures are only worth taking on if your business has the structure to be able to deliver to those kinds of demands. Otherwise, it's just not worth the pressure.
We're kindred spirits, Fremont. All the things you feel, that's what I believe.
So tell us about some of the companies that you've invested in. So let's just and tell us in a way that kind of tell us the story a little bit of when they came to you, what did you see, and what caught your attention that made you invest in those companies?
Yeah, so I'll give you a story or two. I mean, you know, one story that's a really interesting story for me is the story of my investment with Baidu. And I assume that many of your listeners have heard of Baidu. When people talk about the tech industry in China, they talk about BAT, B-A-T, Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. And the fact that I was, you know, had the amazing honor and joy of being the first investor into Baidu, and writing that all the way through. How did that happen? Yeah.
How did it find you? How did you find them?
Well, this is a little bit what I've learned about venture, and is that I built a company with some guys called C2B Technologies. We sold it to a company called Inktomy in 1999. This is way back before your listeners were born, and we had a great exit. We started a little venture firm, and one of the companies we began to help was called Biospace, and there was a lady there named Jennifer King, a young female entrepreneur in San Francisco that we really liked. We put a little money into her company and really came alongside her, rolled up our sleeves, which is one of our favorite things to do, and operationally kind of just started helping her solve some problems. And lo and behold, she introduced us to her father, Bob King. She said, hey, my dad, Bob King's a pharmaceutical investor in the Valley. He's come across these guys from Asia, from China, that have this idea about a search engine, but he knows nothing about search. And you guys built this, we built a product search engine, and we sold our company to the largest search company in the world. It was at that time called Inktomy, that ran search at Yahoo, Google, Microsoft. 70% of the global search market was owned by Inktomy at that time. It's a really interesting story about how Google cleaned our clock. But what happened is we met with Bob, and Bob said, hey, I got these two guys. They gave a 12-slide deck, zero graphics, just black and white, sat in a room. The presentation was so compelling, we pulled Bob aside, and we said, hey, we can't let these guys leave the room without writing a check. So we came back and just said, look, right there, one meeting, no due diligence, just literally one meeting, we wrote a check for $1.6 million. And it came to us simply out of relationship and having what I like to call a servant mentality. Yeah, servant mentality towards our entrepreneurs. We like to come alongside our portfolio companies and serve them. We don't come to lord over them or to bring all our wisdom and tell them how it needs to be done. We like to roll up our sleeves, get in the trenches, ask how we can help, and assist. And when entrepreneurs get that sense from their investor group that, wow, these guys are our friends, it builds goodwill and good things happen. And so that was just she would have never introduced us to Bob if we truly hadn't brought value just on a servant level to her company.
Yeah.
So that's it's an interesting story. Recently, I've got another story that a company I'm very excited about called White Fox Defense. And in one sentence, White Fox has built a radio frequency interdiction platform that controls drone movement in airspace. So they can put an invisible wall up, keep any drone from entering any geography. They can take control of drones. They can whitelist good drones and let those in and take. So they're a really interesting company. Well, what happened is I got invited to go speak at my alma mater for my undergraduate work at Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, which now has a very exciting center for innovation and entrepreneurship. And I went and spoke. There were maybe 300 or 400 people there. And afterwards, they invited me to their hothouse where they were incubating 20 companies. So I went and looked at these 20 companies. And there were two that really stood out to me. One of them was White Fox. What stood out? Here's the things. One was the fact that we know the commercialization of drones is in all our futures. We're going to see that happen. And the need to be able to manage airspace is absolutely critical.
Absolutely critical.
So two, the IP of being able to interdict a drone and control its flight without that drone's permission, that's complicated intellectual property. And I was very intrigued that they were claiming that they had done that. So that really made me interested to want to learn more about how they cracked that code. But most importantly, the entrepreneur, the guy was 20 years old. He had 4 PhDs working for him. He was passionate, profoundly articulate, and he had an amazing sense of business acumen at a very early age. I was asking him a lot of the hard questions. He was coming back with really insightful answers, and I thought, I've got to research this company. I did. I put an initial $600K in to this company. I called some of my buddies. We rounded up 2.1 million. Helped this guy get started, and within 14 months later, I can't disclose it right now because it's not public knowledge, but we have done a massive up round on this company led by a very reputable firm, and their sales activity is global. It's just been a really, really fun ride. So
very cool. That sounds great.
Yeah, for me, it was mostly the founder himself that really grabbed my attention in that case. Yeah.
Very good. So what are you looking for, right? If you kind of think about all the trends that you've seen, you probably have seen hundreds, if not thousands of deals in the last 18 months. How has that informed your current investment thesis, and where do you think you want to invest? What sectors, what types of stuff that you think, oh, I wish I could invest in that particular trend?
Interesting. Yeah, we've looked at 1,400 deals over the last 12 months.
Okay.
And we've invested, actually as a firm, we've invested in 18, which is actually pretty active for a firm. And you know, I think what's difficult for me in that to try to nail that is that we're so broad. Where I know firms that they're just IoT firms. That's all they do. It's just the Internet of Things, or they're just a fund specifically focused on the AI opportunity. And we are, again, very broad: ag tech, scientific instrumentation, medical devices. We will do B2B SaaS. We will do, you know, IoT, AI, all these things. So it's hard for me to, you know, we're more opportunistic, and really what really turns my, you know, crank and gets me excited are entrepreneurs. I believe in entrepreneurs. I have invested in entrepreneurs where their concept has failed, and yet they pivoted into a completely new concept with the same business and succeeded, because they're like a cat. You just throw them in the air, they will land on their feet. And I get a very strong sense about who the leader or the leaders are, and that excites me tremendously. For instance, just a couple months ago, I invested in a company called Verisim Life. Joe Vashni, she's a PhD, young, bright woman that deeply impressed me. They're developing a AI monkey, an artificially intelligent monkey, for doing FDA testing for drugs in the United States for the drug process, which usually takes 6 years to test a drug on animals. They've been able to reduce that down to 6 months and profoundly reduce animal suffering and along the way as well. And with Joe, her energy, her intelligence, her optimism, her leadership, her ability to pull together people, those are the things I look for. And, you know, in the instance with Joe, I was blown away. We invested, so did, Bezos, Reid Hoffman, Bill Gates, and Zuckerberg all co-invested in this early round with us. So I was really excited to get involved with Joe. She's just amazing. Obviously, other people felt the same way. It's really the entrepreneur that grabs me.
Very good. On that note, I think we're going to switch to the entrepreneur pitch session. Thank you for sharing your perspectives on how you think about deals, because, you know, the reason we like to do these in-depth interviews with investors is so that our entrepreneur community gets a view into how people like you think about investment, right? This is not something that people are sharing that generously or that regularly, and we have really tried to give them a platform through which they can have that access to that kind of thought process. So thank you for being candid and insightful.
It's an honor, Sharmana. Thank you, and I really enjoy what you're doing here. We love entrepreneurs. We think they're some of the most exciting and fun people to be around. And it's just an honor to be on your program. I'm going to try to stay for the first pitch. Unfortunately, I got a flight to catch here because I'm on the go. So I'll stay as long as I can. And if I disappear, okay, please understand that. But thank you again.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, folks, those of you who are going to be pitching, I want to set some expectations before we dive in. This is a safe working session. You don't need to be defensive. You don't need to be nervous, scared, nothing. We are on your side. That's why we're here. But you do need to listen. You can disagree all you want with our feedback here, but we want you to listen, and we want you to take the feedback that you get into account in designing your strategy. It is your venture. At the end of the day, you are the decision maker, but do understand that we do have experience, and what we're giving you is based on that experience. So that's one point. The other point I want to make is, as you heard us talk about earlier, not all businesses can raise money, not all businesses should raise money, and raising money does not guarantee success. So do not be obsessed about fundraising. So we're going to talk to Bama first from Fremont, California, Bama Venkatachalam. Bama, please unmute your line and tell us what you're working on.
Hello all. Hope you guys are able to hear me. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Sharmana and 1Mby1M for providing me the opportunity and platform to expose my idea. In fact, you guys prompted me to, solidify my idea and put up in PowerPoint, and, really thanks for that. Okay, here I am in California. So I'm here in US for the last 7 years, and before that I lived in Tokyo. So I've been in technology field for the last 8-9 years. So I have quite some exposure to various technologies, including B2B SaaS and all that. My current company is I'm working on B2B SaaS in the supply chain domain. So that's my day job. So apart from that, I'm working on current problem, like I'm working on my current idea, so which I'm going to present. So my idea is about creating a new payment processor in the blockchain platform, especially for the cryptos. I know okay. So the cryptos and the blockchain is a very polarizing concept. The blockchain itself is a very good technology, but when you combine it with cryptos, which is unreliable and which is seen as a not very feasible technology, which is not a long-living technology around. There is some ideas and opinions on that. So I'm thinking how to put the cryptos into day-to-day use for average Joe. If you look at the cryptos, it's almost like I think 3,000 plus, the currencies are introduced in the market just purely based on the speculation, which is not good, and that's the reason the cryptos are, is not having a popularity as it should be. So the current cryptos market, if you see, it's a $442 billion. It's $500 billion market. And most of the 36% of the coin market is mostly dominated by Bitcoin. And the 64% is like 50 plus currencies dominate the remaining 64%. And leastly, I would say 0.5 to 1% maybe all this, bullshit currencies, if I call that, or into the market, taking the market cap. So current cryptos are just merely used as a store of value, just like a gold, and the people are investing in it just for purely based on the speculation with expectation it will go up and they will make the money. So, but I'm thinking how to reverse this trend and make the cryptos for a daily transaction, how to make it into a, the currency which we can use it on a transaction, how to buy and sell goods and services for SMEs on a B2B platform using Bitcoin and altcoins. How can we make an altcoin into a global currency and legally? In fact, that's the most important thing. The crypto payment market in US is in very beginning stage, and there's only very few players in the market, and so the market opportunity is really huge if we can do it right and if we can do it legally, and there's a huge opportunity according to me. So I'm trying to create a cryptocurrency payment gateway for all the merchant processing, peer-to-peer transactions, and in the later stage, in fact, the international money transfer is also in my thought process. So that is the problem area I'm trying to attack. So any questions on that?
Lots of questions, but we'll listen to a bit more of how you're planning to do this.
Okay. So my company name is Isha Pay. So Isha Pay is a payment gateway for fiat to fiat, so I didn't include that. So it's also going to have fiat to fiat, which means you should be able to do USD to US dollar transaction just like any other payment gateway available in the market today, and also the crypto to fiat and crypto to crypto payments in US. Isha Pay is aiming to increase its specialization in merchant payment processing for the e-commerce markets and online transactions, and enable peer-to-peer transactions from USD to any altcoin and coin to USD. And we have plans to evolve to other fiats once we are successful with USD. We want to take one step at a time and see where we stand. So currently in plans to support 50 plus altcoins, that is one of our strategy because the current players don't support many altcoins because of the liquidity and the volatility factors. So we are planning to support at least 50 plus altcoins immediately. So another strategy
let me get something clarified here. Your thought process is that all these e-commerce merchants out there, whether they have their shops on Shopify or BigCommerce or any number of other e-commerce platforms, you're going to basically give them a payment gateway that will plug into their current payment infrastructure and make them crypto-enabled. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. So imagine like it's a PayPal for cryptos, just like that.
So when you say you're going to do B2B SaaS, that's a little bit of a concern there, because if you look at the payment gateway market, operates on a transaction fee basis usually. In fact, transaction commission basis.
Right. So that is a strategy to mitigate, the revenue generated through the transaction fee. So that's where we are introducing the Isha coin. So which will be which is our own coin, which will be introduced in the market, and the customers, the merchants and the users of our platform will be incentivized by providing the Isha coin. So there is two revenue strategies here. One is, of course, the transaction fees. So the current players are charging 1.5 to 2.5 percentage minimum. So we'll be charging. Of course, we will not be charging initially, and we might, even if we charge, it will be like 0.5 percentage. And the main revenue model I'm thinking about is introducing Isha coin and increasing the value of the Isha coin in the market by increasing its utility and positioning the Isha coin as a stable coin, which is very important when it comes to, various other cryptos in the market.
So you are going to have a cryptocurrency of your own that all other cryptocurrencies are going to convert into? Is that what I'm hearing?
Not exactly. All the other cryptos are not going to get converted into Isha. So this is like so this is the workflow. So if I can explain, maybe you'll understand the workflow better. So for example, there's a coin called Dash, Monero, which is less visible compared to Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., etc. So for example, if the customer prefers to pay in the Dash, okay, so we'll enable our probably like PayPal-like infrastructure where there will be icon once they were able to click. so they'll be able to pay in Dash. So they'll have the they can enter their public address or the QR code. They can scan the QR code, and it will take to the multi-token wallet application, which means we have in our Isha Coin platform in the back end, we'll have the multi-token wallet. So that the Dash will come to our wallet and will have an equivalent. Say, for example, I'll start with maybe we start with $100,000 reserve. From the reserve, equivalent amount of Dash will be converted to US dollar, which is logically converted. Say, for example, one Bitcoin is today is like 6,000, or today it's actually 9,000 plus dollars. So similarly, the Dash will be equivalently logically converted to US dollar, and some US dollar from that reserve equivalent to amount of the Dash which is paid by the customer will be taken from the account and will be passed on to the merchant. So in fact, what we have is right now in the state of transaction, we'll have the Dash, and we would have removed some of the reserve. We should subtract some of the money from our reserve. So basically, why do we have this model? Because currently the cryptos have the problem of very high transaction per second. So which means it takes anywhere from 14 seconds to 10 minutes to process every transaction, which is the biggest pain point in for the cryptos to enter into the main field. So we are trying to resolve that problem by having the USD reserve, and we will be sending from our USD reserve. For example, Isha will be sending a USD, equivalent amount of USD to the merchant. And the challenge here is we have to wait for the transaction to complete, which takes anywhere from 14 seconds to 10 minutes. If it succeeds, then we'll initiate other set of workflows which will enable the conversion of Dash back to USD, and parallelly we will mine more Isha coins to give as an incentive to the merchant and for the customer to pay, to incentivize to use the platform. Isha coin has nothing to do with conversion, in between the conversion between the Dash and the USD.
If the merchant wants to be paid in US dollar, let's say the consumer pays in some cryptocurrency and the merchant wants to be paid in US dollar, you want to insert yourselves in the middle and do that conversion? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. And the Isha coin is just to incentivize.
So the Isha coin part, let's leave it out for the moment because it's kind of, I think that's gravy. The real issue is merchants want to be paid in US dollars. People may want to pay in crypto, and you are taking on, you are inserting yourselves in the middle, and you are taking on all the risk. Where is the cash that you were talking about that you're going to distribute, US dollar cash that you're going to distribute to the merchants? Where is that coming from?
I will
how are you getting liquidity?
I don't understand. You mean how do I get the liquidity? I mean.
Yes. How do you get the liquidity?
So, for example, I will have my own. I will be bringing in my own, $100,000 reserve. So and I can maintain the $100,000 reserve throughout, as long as the number of transactions executed per day or per day is equivalent to $100,000 or less than that. For example, if a customer pays for the product which is $10, say, so he pays equivalent in Dash. So that $10 will be deducted from our $100,000 reserve and will be paid back to the merchant. Now I have $10 worth of Dash in my wallet. So I have to quickly convert that $10 equivalent of Dash back to $10 US dollars in my reserve. So I have a strategy to do it. So there is a technology called ShapeShift, which instantly converts any US dollar to, any crypto to a stable coin like Tether or Tether or through USD, or they're all the stable coins. And also the Coinbase, I'm sure you would have heard about the Coinbase. Coinbase has introduced another product called Instant Exchange. So I'm planning to use the ShapeShift and Instant Exchange to instantly convert this crypto back to US dollar. So I'm sure I'll be losing some money in terms of miner fees and the exchange fees by itself, which might be like $1. So if I pay $10 and I will be able to convert it back only to $9, say I'll be losing say $1 in the amount. So that is, I'm trying to mitigate that loss of value by issuing Isha coin and trying to increase it in the Isha coin. By the way, increasing the revenue of the entire company. So the US dollar is.
I don't like that Isha coin business. I think it just complicates matters. Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, this is interesting to me. I'll make a comment here in a moment, but Bama, that's right? Is that your name? Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you for your presentation. I know you haven't gotten to this yet, but what has your research uncovered in terms of the competitive landscape here? I'm just curious what you know of.
Right, that's the last slide. Yeah. So the U.S. Regulations are very strict. So not many players can enter into the U.S. market as of now. There's plethora of companies outside U.S., but none supporting U.S. dollar. Obviously, the government, because of the U.S. government. So there are few players in the U.S. market, which are BitPay. BitPay is the earliest entrant in this market. So they process only Bitcoin payment. They convert Bitcoin to U.S. dollar. In fact, they only raised $30 million only last, maybe this beginning of this year or last quarter of last year. And they started in fact in 2011. But what I see is they process only Bitcoin payment, and they started achieving the revenue of $1 million in revenue. I mean, $1 million revenue per day in 2014 after 3 years after they started this. And coin-based commerce, the Coinbase, it's one of the biggest and popular and most trusted exchange approved, in fact, sort of approved by the government in a way to operate in U.S. So they are based out of the Bay Area too. They launched the Coinbase Commerce in February of 2018, which is just a couple of months ago, and they support only 4 base coins. And the CoinGate, this is a company which is operating out of U.S. as far as I know, but they started in Lithuania, which is Europe, and they support mostly European dollars, and also they started supporting U.S. dollar recently. So maybe there are more companies, but these are all the major players I'm aware of. And there are a plethora of non-USA altcoin payment companies which are in, I don't know, pre-ICO, post-ICO stage outside of U.S., not certain of their future and market adoption yet. They haven't, the product is not in real use yet. And there are a lot of companies.
Hold on, Bama, let Steve speak.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you for this quick overview. Unfortunately, in one sense, because I do have numerous thoughts for you, but unfortunately, I'm on the board of a company that's competitive with what you're trying to do. It's not on your competitive landscape slide here. It's called Paystand. I don't know if you're familiar with Paystand, but they're actually just out of Scotts Valley, just down the street from where you live, and they've been kind of working on this problem for 4 years now, and have really good traction and success. My main thought here is that without having, unfortunately, I got some thoughts, but I feel like I can't really speak candidly to it because I've got a fiduciary responsibility to the company that I'm involved with. But but I think there is an opportunity here, but I think it's very nascent on the crypto side in terms of people actually using crypto as a transactional currency, particularly in e-commerce. There is an opportunity. It's just it might be early, it might not be. I'm not sure exactly. So I think what companies that are succeeding in this space are diversifying their revenue streams and offering this as a service amongst other legs of the stool. I think it might be difficult to build upon just that leg right now, but you never know. We might be at that inflection point. And certainly the first comers are not always the winners. Many times the company
timing is really important.
Yeah, it is.
So Bama, one way you can address what Steve is pointing out, it was my instinct as well, the kinds of questions I would like answers to, and you should have try to figure out some answers to at least some hypothesis around, is what percentage of merchants are interested in accepting crypto payments, and what scale of consumers are willing to or interested in paying in cryptos? I mean, what signals are out there in the market on those two numbers? Those two numbers are critical numbers for us to gauge what kind of TAM are we talking about now, what kind of TAM are we talking about the next 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, and where really is an adoption inflection point? Because if you start a company like this too early, it's not going to scale at any reasonable pace that investors would be willing to fund. So in that case, if you can do it in a bootstrap mode and wait it out and kind of get to inflection point and then try to scale it, that would work. But nonetheless, you need to kind of get a sense of where is that market? What is the scale of a market that we're talking about? How many e-commerce companies can you convince to come on to a system like this, and what level of transaction volume can we expect to go through a system like this?
Right. Yeah, I don't have the numbers yet, but what I am seeing is the Shopify, the PrestaShop, which are all the the e-commerce cloud platforms available out there. They have adopted very fastly the BitPay and Coinbase and even the CoinGate like companies into their payment gateway. And in fact, I was recently reading the 80,000 customers were able to onboard the Coinbase commerce. So I
see, the issue here, Bama, is going to be that for Shopify, it's a feature. It's a sexy feature that a company like Shopify gets to do marketing around. That is not the same as betting your entire company on the hypothesis that consumers are going to transact using cryptos, and e-commerce merchants are going to accept crypto. So the fact that Shopify announces a feature is, to me at least, not enough validation for what you're looking for.
So another thing is, like, I'm also introducing fiat-to-fiat payment gateway. It's not just crypto to payment. So yeah, the main.
That's a different business. That's a completely different business. So far, you've presented crypto. So this speaks to Steve's point that you need other legs to be able to have a business here. In any case, you are in the 1M1M premium program, so you have access to curriculum. Go study methodology and try to frame this in a validation model, and you have access to all the premium roundtables as well, so you can continue to work with me on developing your idea and validating your idea and creating reasonable assumptions, reasonable hypothesis on your idea. So this is just a conversation. You have material with which to study and develop this idea now.
Okay, sure, definitely.
Okay. So, all right. Manoj Bhagat, you're next. Thank you, Bama.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Manoj.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
So my name is Manoj Bhagat. I'm from India, from a city called as Pune. So we have this particular product called as Jeeni, which is basically a cloud-based solution for the entrance test. So currently we are focusing on the India market, and that is to mainly the K-12 kind of students, and who can basically do the practicing for their engineering and medical entrance examinations using a cloud-based technology. So this is our company information. We are established in 2015. So this year we'll be completing almost 3 years. But of course, our first year went into the complete development, developing the beta product and validating it with the customers. So as of today, we have got a revenue of around 25 lakhs. The product has been already developed, and it is working with approximately around 8 to 10 customers, and basically satisfied customers and who have been using this. Okay. So probably we can go to the next slide.
When you say you're working with customers, you're providing a software as a service solution to test prep houses? Is that what's going on?
Okay. So basically our customers are institutes and colleges, and universities. You can call it as universities who have their students. So basically this is a B2B SaaS model, software as a service, and hosted on the Amazon cloud. So what happens is that my customers, they subscribe to our model. I mean, they take the services from us, and their student uses this particular service. I mean, we offer them a complete end-to-end solution. I mean, we currently, as of today, we are offering the three kind of services. One is hosting the question bank for our customer. I mean, we have got our own custom question bank as well, and then the customers can prepare their own tests. I mean, the examinations, and which can be assigned to the students. And after students attending the examinations, they can see the complete AI-based analytical reports and analysis, progress, strengths, weaknesses of the students, and that is how they typically use it. I mean, I have got a complete description of the product in the later slides. But this is basically as far as the company information. I mean, we started in 2015, and as of today, in 2018, we are around a revenue of around 25 lakhs and around 10 to 12 customers who have been working with us.
So 25 lakhs is the revenue for the month of March 2018 or the cumulative revenue?
It's a cumulative for the FY 2018.
For financial year 2000, and your financial year 2018, meaning you're finishing the financial year right now in March? You just finished the financial year? Or?
It's finished in financial year into March 2018.
Okay.
It's a 1 year.
And that's the year that you completed with 25 lakhs in revenue, which is about $50,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the business model is software as a service.
Software as a service, yes. Okay.
And
so
how much do you charge for a university?
We charge on the per student basis. That is approximately 1,000 to 1,500 rupees per student per year.
Okay.
1,000.
And how many students are on the platform now through this?
As of today, including paid and free users, we have got approximately 15,000 users who have been using the system. Paid is approximately 4,000.
And the university is paying, not the students?
Yes, universities are paying, not the students.
Okay, got it. So 10 universities, 4,000 students.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, overall market size, as far as market size is concerned, it is approximately more than $1 billion entrance examination market. So basically, what we see as a challenge as far as this particular market is concerned, as of today, most of the examinations are conducted on paper pen basis. In India, I will say almost 98% of the students are not digitized yet, as of yet. Okay, hardly 2% of the students are using the digital tools and techniques, for studying as well as preparing for the examinations on the online mode. But the number has been increasing very fast. So another thing is typically the faculty time has been wasted in the administrative work, preparing the question paper. I mean, getting it entered in the system and and printing and all that. As even the evaluation part is most of the institutes and the colleges, they do it on the manual basis. I mean, so there is no online or analytical platforms which is available. So what Jeeni, as an organization, we have got a vision is that we want to become a #1 platform offering digital and digital platform and process to the examinations as well as the processes to the institutes and the students. So basically, it's mainly completely the content which will be available from Jeeni as well as our other partners and institutes, which can be delivered to the institutes, colleges, and the students on a completely digital platform. Yeah. Any questions here?
This 1 billion entrance exam market is a top-down number, I imagine, right? It's not a bottom-up, right?
Absolutely. It's a top-down number.
You need to create a bottom-up analysis. Top-down TAM means nothing to us or to investors. We need to understand that, and for your purpose, you need a bottom-up number.
Okay, so by what I mean by top-down is that I'm looking at the total number of students which has been studying in India. I mean, for engineering and medical entrances, every year there are around 2.5 million students appear for this test, and the number of students who have been preparing is approximately 5 to 7 million. So that is where this particular numbers are being come. But yeah, I mean, I got an explanation of the numbers later on. Okay. So this is basically our leadership team. Myself, Manoj, I am CEO and co-founder, along with Makarand Vaidya, Prakash, and Abhay Ranade. So we are basically the guys who came together and started this particular organization. And yeah, I mean, we came from a very strong technical background. I'm basically ex-Oracle and worked in Japan for quite some time, almost 10+ years. And similarly, the Makaran is an IITian. Yeah. So, so this is about how I came out about this particular $1 billion market size. Okay. So year on year, how we have been focusing. In last year, we focused only on Maharashtra. That is the Maharashtra market that we are looking at. So in Maharashtra, we have got around 500,000 users, so which is about 75 to 80 crore business for only engineering and medical entrances. Next year, we are going to expand it to 6 more states for the marketing. So that is going to be another 250+ crore business, and we are going to start up some other areas apart from engineering and medical. That is the foreign languages, Japanese, as well as some other examinations like MPSC and UPSC. And then FY20, we are going to expand to the rest of the India, which is approximately 4 to 5 million students, which is approximately 600 CR is the market for only engineering and medical, and then another million students for languages as well as other government courses. So that is how we have came up with approximate size of $1 billion is what the examination market is what we are thinking. So, and this is the numbers what I have produced, approximately 700 to 800 crore is only for engineering, medical, and some government examinations. Apart from that, I mean, we have got lot more courses, examinations, which has been happening and which are still digital format. And of course, in coming time in India at least, this is going to change in a big way. Any questions on this?
The thing that is missing from here is an articulation of how many universities do you have to sell to, because your sales channel is through universities. How many universities do you need to sell to? What is the deal size and so forth? So because that's really how you go to market. So this is fine based on the students is an approximation of the market, but really it's going to be how much are you going to get from the universities?
Yeah, it is basically the number of universities and colleges. Okay, so this is how our basically customer value proposition. We are basically selling in 2 forms: B2B and B2C. I mean, B2C is the direct sales to the students, but again, we are not selling our own product to the students directly. But instead of that, what we are doing is we are tying up with the institutes and the universities who want to do the B2C business for the customers outside their university, outside their area. So that is where we are doing the B2C for them. Okay. So for B2B customers, what services we offer is a hosted question bank, hosted content, and the processes to manage these contents. I mean, adding the content, assigning to the whatever the number of students, seeing their performance, analytics. Okay. Then what is the value proposition we are offering to them? Is we take care of the complete infra, right from their servers till the support to the students, technical support. Then we offer them the reduced cost. The cost of their operations gets reduced by more than 60 to 70%. We offer them end-to-end processes. It's not just a technology or the hosting which we are offering. We offer them the monetization using which they can sell to the students outside their universities or outside their colleges or the institutes, I will say. In India, typically we have got the concept of rather than universities, it is a college or the private institutions. Okay, and yeah, of course, we offer them a complete AI-based analytical reporting, which tells the student on his weak areas, his strong areas, where he's been performing, or if a particular institute is looking at a particular batch, I mean, where the batch has been performing, what are the strong areas of the batch, which are the weak areas. Like for example, if they are studying a subject like physics, in physics, what are the strong areas? I mean, whether they are scoring good marks in circular motion and they are losing a lot of marks in electrostatics, that kind of a report and analysis they can get, and which will definitely improve on the performance as far as the students and the overall the result of the institution is been concerned. The revenue model for the B2B is pay-per usage. They pay in terms of the basically the number of student subscriptions. So there are various models for that. And in B2C,
it is not a pay-per-usage model. What it is a SaaS model. SaaS model based on a per student unit price. It is not pay-per-use.
We have both. No, we have both. We also for certain category of institutes we charge the flat, and there are certain category of institutes we charge on the pay-per usage. I mean, it's a per exam per student, per test model. kind of this thing. That is there in the next slide. I mean, I will be explaining that in detail. And for the B2C, it is the flat yearly subscription fees is what we are charging to the students. So over here we are offering the test series and notes, as of today only notes offered by the other institutes to the global market. I mean, to the overall Indian market, they can use it. I mean, for example, if I'm a student in Mumbai and I want to use a test series by Alan in Kota, they can buy that particular test series through our platform. So that's basically the customer value proposition model what we are proposing.
And this is not validated, right? The B2C part is not validated.
B2C part is not validated, but we already have got 2 institutes who wish to start in this particular model, and we are kicking in that particular thing off by the month of July. So by July we will be starting with this particular B2C. So this is basically customer segmentation. What I said is typically we have got tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 kind of an institutions or the colleges, what I will say. Tier 1 are typically the 5,000 to 25,000 students kind of an institutes which are nationwide operating, and typically their market share in overall Indian market is around 15%. Tier 2 are the institutes which are more of a local or at the most statewide. And they have got typically 500 to 5,000 students, and their market share is typically 25 to 40%. And then you've got tier 3 institutes, which are really very small institutes, ranging of the students from right from 50 students to 500 students. And again, their market share is around 40%. I mean, these are very small players, but still they are competing with the big brands and fighting with them, colleges as well as the private institutions. Our acquisition strategy for tier 1 currently not our prime focus, because they expect the cost to be very low. And so that is what we are offering them. I mean, very low cost offering, and the test series monetization are the 2 things which we are offering them. We don't have even a single tier 1 customer onboarded with us as of today, but we are in discussion with a couple of them and done the POCs with them, and we are still negotiating. As far as tier 2 is been concerned, we are going through the local sales partners. I mean, we have hired some local sales partners who go and talk to these guys, and we are onboarding them with free access. And so what we have done is we already got around 4 customers with this particular sizable brands. And and there are quite a few in pipeline. Typically with this particular customer, we charge to them on the per student per year basis. I mean, that is something around 1,000 to 1,200 rupees is typically the cost per student goes. Tier 3 students, what we do is we charge them on the basis of approximately 2,500 to 10,000 per month. And this is basically on the pay per usage basis. I mean, it is like something like 5 to 7 rupees per exam instance. I mean, if they have got 50 students, 1 test conducted, it's 50 into 5 rupees, 250 rupees is what they have to pay in advance. I mean, it's a prepaid charges they need to pay, and they start using it. I mean, we have got quite a few customers onboarded with this. This tier 3 approach
How much
we
are you
started
paying
recently.
to the sales channel partners? You have sales partners who are helping you sell. How much are you paying them?
Paying
what is the deal?
Around 25% of the deal size. So whatever the deal they are doing, we pay them 25% on the first year. Second year onwards, these are all renewals, so it is slightly less, so they get 15%. But they have to basically take care of the customers. So this is our pipeline as of today. We focus only on Maharashtra. So we have got a pipeline of around 4.5 CR, that is almost $1 million pipeline, and we are expecting to close approximately 30 to 40% of this in this particular financial year. So we are expecting to go around 1.5 to 2 CR in this particular financial year. So this is like, I mean, the area wise we are done, and this is done with a particular focus that we wanted to go for the urban as well as the rural markets and get the feel of that. I mean, typically if you see over here, the Marathwada is the most drought affected area as far as in Maharashtra is concerned. So this is our product roadmap and revenue flow. So we will have content providers who will be providing the contents. There will be content from Jeeni, there will be content from other institutes, there will be content from publishers and individual faculties. So what happens is that the colleges and institutes, they can use this particular content. It can be notes, it can be question banks, and it can be even in future videos, video lectures. So it can be used and assigned to the students, and they will pay on the B2B, I mean, pay per usage, whatever the licensing model has been concerned, and they will avail the complete platform, which will have the course scheduling, analytical reporting, messaging, everything. I mean, all these features will be available to them, and they'll pay on the basis of the per users. For students, it will be like in B2C, wherein the institutes and the publishers will be hosting their content, and students can go and directly subscribe to that. In that case, the revenue will be shared between the content providers and Jeeni. I mean, that is how it will happen.
Okay.
Any questions on this? Yeah. So this is about the competition. I mean, currently we have got quite a few competitors in India. The number has been continuously increasing. One of the competitors is, I will say, the Plansys, 1Mby1M, Think Exam, Admin, and Topper. Out of this, Plansys is doing not that well. They basically offer the classes, lectures, so not much focus. 1Mby1M is doing pretty much well. I mean, you might have heard that 1Mby1M has been recently taken, or rather than taken over, Reliance Industries has got a majority stake in 1Mby1M. So they invested about $200 million in 1Mby1M. So they were our close competitors.
$200 million in 1Mby1M.
Yeah, they invested $200 million. That's a last month news. I mean, 3 weeks back, $200 million was invested in 1Mby1M.
And what is 1Mby1M's revenue level?
It was not more than 5 CR.
Which is less than a million.
Around 4 to 5 CR was less than a million. I mean, they were 2 years ahead of us. They are 2 years ahead of us as far as business has been concerned. Think Exam is another very strong competitor. They are basically from the North India side. Admin is another competitor, but they are a very small level player. I mean, their main focus is ERP. I have done a complete analysis, graphical analysis of all this competition. So what is our strategy to win? We offer a user-friendly mobile app. We have got a really friendly mobile app, which has been appreciated by more than 5,000 users, and we got feedback. Okay. We are doing the B2B tie-up with the classes, so we are not competitors with our customers. We are not selling our own test series or our own content. Okay. We reached to the rural students. We delivered more than 50 seminars in rural Maharashtra, and we got quite a few customers from rural. That is one of the weakest area. None of the competitors are been going. We are establishing a very strong franchisee network. The sales partner, where they'll be sharing the revenue and doing the business for us. And these are the strategies. Catch them young. We are releasing enough products for 8 to 12 students, and we will be diversifying in the other business verticals like SAT, GRE, UPSC examinations, foreign languages, by getting the subject matter experts on board. But of course, these are the plans once we get an investment. Because currently, with whatever the revenue, we have been able to focus only on the sales and whatever that has been current development that we have been doing. Any questions?
No.
Okay. So this is the analysis of the competition. The plans is what are the areas.
Let's finish. In the interest of time, I'd like to go to what your questions are. I think we understand
one challenge what we are saying is developing a strong partner network. What are the typical strategies? We are mainly all the technical guys, so slightly weak on the areas of the sales. So that is what we understand, and we are basically getting some sales partners onboarded and developing a strong partner network. That is our priority number one. Okay. We also want to develop the flexible licensing strategies for the different customer ranges. We already identified Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3. How to make it more flexible so that we get the maximum out of the customer, but still we should be able to get even a Tier 3 customer and the Tier 1 customer. Okay. And another challenge which we see is that
I actually disagree with that. I would like you to figure out which segment are you really able to close and for what reason, and position yourself to a segment where you can have high velocity sales. Because at this point, whether you're going to win this game or not is going to depend on how many customers of a specific type can you rapidly acquire and build up a significant revenue base.
I think that makes sense. That's a very valid point.
Rather than trying to, the thing that I don't like about your presentation is I like the fact that you are already in business, you're making revenues and all that. I like that very much. What I don't like is that you are trying to go broad. You're going to go to different segments. You're going to try to open up different types of offerings without actually winning and really becoming successful in one thing. I want you to do one thing so well that you dominate that market. Whatever segment that is, whatever that offering is, you need to dominate one market, and you need to become a high velocity player in that market first and foremost.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's my primary feedback to you.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. All right, folks, if you like what we're doing here in 1 Million by 1 Million, please bring serious entrepreneurs into the program. The word serious is in bold because it takes many years to build a company. And to the extent that we can make you successful would be very much dependent on what your attitude and what your work ethic is, because it does require a lot of studying and learning and very rigorous execution, both very rigorous learning and very rigorous execution. So let me give you a few pointers on how to use 1 Million by 1 Million. All resources are at 1Mby1M.com. There's a terrific blog. If you start following the blog, you'll learn a lot from there. Entrepreneur Journeys, the book series, is 12 books. You can start learning there. These are case study-based books, 12 to 16 case studies each. We have been doing these roundtables, as I said, for a long time. Our 400th roundtable is next week. So feel free to use these roundtables, a great body of learning material in a recorded version, and these sessions are great places for you to bring your company to get some input on, get some strategic guidance on. The full acceleration program is 1M by 1M Premium. Look at the website. There's a lot of detail about it. We offer you extensive methodology guidance, a full curriculum, help you with business development, help you with strategy consulting on your particular projects, and we also help with financing and media relations. The 1M by 1M self-assessment is a good thing for you to have at hand. These are the questions that investors would ask you. I would like you to ask yourselves these questions about your venture so that you can preempt investor questioning. If you get stuck on any of these, go do 1M by 1M Basic, which is our curriculum-only version, and learn methodology. All of you who are first-time entrepreneurs, you need to learn methodology. There is no question you need to learn methodology. Other than that, look around on the website, what to expect from Premium, Basic, the program itself, FAQs, video FAQs. There's a ton of material, full description of the curriculum. We do teach and discuss case studies and video lectures. And these are, over 800 case studies of 50+ unicorn entrepreneurs, 400+ VC-funded companies, 350+ bootstrap companies. There's a ton of material, and you can learn from all of that in an online curriculum basis. Our methodology is lean, capital-efficient bootstrap startups. You have to bootstrap first, raise money later. Raising money right off the bat is almost unviable today for a first-time entrepreneur. So be aware of that. We have, as I said, one more roundtable next week, and then I'm off to vacation, and then we're here every week pretty much in June. So make sure you book your slots to come and present and work with me. We also have in-person rendezvous regularly. We have one more in May, next Thursday, and then we have 4 in June. So again, book your register yourselves, and hope to see you at one of these if you're either in the Bay Area or are visiting the Bay Area. That's it. Otherwise, we can go to Q&A. You're welcome to dial in. Shashank Singhal, you're asking how do we know if we get shortlisted to present in the conference? You just need to register to pitch in the free public roundtable link. So this is the link. If you click on it and just go register to pitch, Maureen will make sure that you have a slot to present in one of the upcoming sessions. So provide your preference on which session you want to pitch at. These are first come, first serve slots mostly, as long as you are within our spectrum of areas that we cover. If you have questions about the program, also after this session, you can contact Irina Patterson, irina@1mby1m.com. And that's it. So any questions, happy to answer. Thank you, Pankaj. I'm very glad to hear that you like what we are doing. Anybody? Any questions, comments, introductions? issues that you're dealing with? No questions? If no questions, then I'm going to adjourn, because I have a very full day today. All right, well, see you next week then at the 400th Roundtable. Mukami Kimoto has a question. Please, Mukami, go ahead. Go ahead and type in your question in the public chat or dial into the call-in number. What specific course should you go through to understand and refine your ideas better? In the curriculum, you should go through customer validation, positioning, and market sizing, I think, to start with. Do those three. Generally, you need to go through the core curriculum, but start with those three. Anybody else? Okay, Mukami, please go ahead and register, and you'll have an opportunity to pitch, and we'll discuss your venture. All right, folks, we'll see you next week. Then please come to the 400th Roundtable, and it will be an interesting program, I promise. And we'll see you soon. Bye.